In the last video, we saw a very real problem. Our database stores data but not the meaning, and because of that, humans struggle to understand it and even AI started guessing. We also saw how traditional annotations help. But let's be very honest, that approach is still manual, static, and not really built for AI. So the question is, what if our database could actually explain itself to AI? And that's what Oracle AI Enrichment does. And in this video, I'm going to show you three things: how to enable AI enrichment, how to use it with SQL, and how to do everything without writing SQL at all.
Welcome back to my channel Into the Oracleverse, where we learn about Oracle SQL, PL SQL, and Apex. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Before starting with the setup, I'll give a small walkthrough on what we are going to do here. So first we will be looking at what an annotation group is and what is schema annotation and what is a table annotation and what is a column annotation. So to give a quick context, annotation group is nothing but tables that are grouped together to provide a good context to the AI. We can assume that these tables are grouped together to form a given application, or they are grouped together to form a small part or small module of the given application. Then we have schema annotation where we would be able to provide context to an entire schema. If there are multiple schema within database, this would be a goal for the AI to exactly know which schema to query based on the user's input. And then we have the table and the column annotation, which would be able to provide the purpose of table and column respectively. So with all these annotations set up, AI would be able to understand our database in a much better way. Let's start with the setup. Before you can use AI enrichment, our database needs to support it. So we have to make sure that we are in Oracle 19c or later. So first, we'll have to go to the schema. So in the left-hand pane of the VS Code, we would be able to see all the connections. I have created a schema now. I called it as test schema. So we have to expand it, and we have to ensure that it is connected. So if it is connected, we would be able to identify it through this green symbol. So once this is connected, so let me just show how it would normally look like. So it will normally look like this. So to connect it, either we can just expand it or we can just right click and connect it. And then within it, the first option that we can see is AI enrichment. And if you haven't set this up yet, so if I am clicking it for the first time, it will just load and then it will show this prompt. To use the AI enrichment, some database objects must be created. So now if I click yes, the relevant objects would have been created. So I can show one such object. So within packages, we can see the metadata annotations. So this package would have been created when we first click on this, when we first provide our consent to set or create those packages within our schema. Let me just click this. So we can see the AI enrichment tab here. So I can close the other things. So if you are seeing this tab, then the AI enrichment setup is already enabled. So now what we'll have to do is, so there are two ways with which we would be able to proceed from here. Either we would be able to add these annotations through SQL or PL SQL, or we would be able to do it manually. First, let's look into the programmatical way to do it. So in the last video, you would have seen how we were able to add annotations through programmatical way when we are creating those database objects or when we are altering those database objects. Here it is a bit similar to that, but it's much more simpler here. So you can see that I am using the package metadata annotations and I am using the procedure set. So with this, I'll be able to set a given annotation along with, so this is the description for that particular object which would be annotated. And then here I have the object name and then the object type. So I am annotating the MOVENT table and then I'm providing detailed description on what that particular table's purpose is, and then I'm adding an annotation type called description. Here we can see how we are able to add column level annotations. So I will have to provide the value as table column and then the table name dot column name, and then I will be able to provide the annotations in a much simpler way. Annotation group. So this is the annotation group that we talked about. So here I have a movie semantic search engine annotation group. I haven't created it already, but I'll show how to create it. So this can be done either through the programmatical way. So here first we'll have to create that particular group, and then we'll have to add the relevant tables which are associated to that group within that particular group. So this is how we will be able to create annotations group in a programmatical way. And then yeah, I just have some random queries here. So this is one option which we have. If we plan on annotating our entire database objects programmatically, we can follow that path. Else, there is a much simpler way with which we'll be able to annotate our database objects without writing a single line of code. So within AI enrichment, so we can see that we would be able to add the description here. So here you can see that I have added the line, this is a test schema that was created. and here the data would get saved dynamically. So if I just click dot, you can see that the annotation is successfully edited. So this will be saved dynamically. The data which we are providing here would be the schema based annotation that is present over there. And once this is saved, we can just refresh it. Yeah. So there are some suggestions which are automatically provided here. So we can see that the next suggestion which was provided was to create a table group. So to create that, I have my tables physically present in the other schema. So let me navigate to the other schema that I have. So first I'll create the tables, since the tables are missing here. So to bring back a closed tab, we just have to press Control plus Shift plus T. With this, we'll be able to bring back any closed tab if it is recently closed. So now let me create these tables. I'll just run the script, and I'll be running it from demo schema. So all these tables got created. So as you can see here, I haven't added the annotation yet. So now let me insert data. So the data got inserted. Now I can start annotating the relevant things. So for our scenario, I'll add the groups from the UI, and I will also add the schema description from the UI, and then I'll be adding the column annotation as well as the table level annotation through the program or through the PL/SQL code that we have. So first, so here I can provide the description of that particular schema, and then now I can get started with creating the table group. So to do that, I can see the table groups that are already present here. So there is none. I can just click this add group, and now I'll just provide the group's name and the description, which is optional. And let me add the relevant tables which are associated with this particular feature, and I'll click apply. So here we can see that the group got created successfully, and I'd be able to see the associated tables underneath it. And I can also check it like this. So here the description is empty as of now. I'd be able to add them using the PL/SQL procedure as well. So let me just run this. So this is the table level thing. So it got created successfully, and I can check it from here as well. So here I can see that the description has been updated. So let me go ahead with the other updations. So now let me annotate the columns. So the PL/SQL procedure got executed successfully. Let me just refresh this. Now I can see the description being updated. So with this, we can prove that by programmatically as well, you would be able to add the relevant AI enrichment descriptions or annotations in a much better way. So we have the annotation group setup, and we have provided description for our schema, and then we also have the table level annotations, and then we have the column level annotation as well. So now let's see in light whether these annotations are helping the AI model or helping Claude to exactly identify or pinpoint the table in which it has to query, and whether it is able to retrieve the results in a better way. So now let me, since I have this movie related semantic search engine, let me query it with a description of a movie, and let's see if it is able to retrieve the movie name in a much better way. So last time I did it without annotation, and then it has exhausted the token that I had with regards to my free version. So now let's check it again. Since we have all these annotations set up, I can ask AI to look into the annotations that were created. So now these annotations that are created here can be seen in all these four tables. So within metadata annotations group, we can see the group that has been created. And then within this metadata annotations group mem, we can see all the tables that were added to this group. And then within metadata annotations usage, we would be able to see all the table and the column level and the schema level annotations that were added. If AI reads data from this particular table, it would know what are all the purpose of that particular table and things like that. So let's get started. So I have my Claude desktop here. If you haven't set this up, so do refer to my old video where I have set this Claude desktop, SQL CLMCP and database connection. So with that, we would be able to interact with the database, or the Claude desktop would be able to interact with the database in a much easier way. And yeah, so I have this particular prompt with me. So with this, I'm asking it to connect to demo schema through SQL CLMCP, and then look for the table metadata annotation usage. And then I am asking it to find the movie which has a tragic love story where hero is poor and heroine is rich. So let me just check. So it has connected to the demo schema now. So it has identified the database structure and the vector fetch methodology, because I have stored the metadata of the movies in vector. So yeah. So here we can see that it has found the movie's name. So I have provided the query as query like the tragic love story hero is poor and heroine is rich. And with that, it is able to retrieve the values in a much better way. And moreover, it is also able to identify how the vector embeddings are being used and things like that. So now here we can see how it was able to find the movie. So first, it has looked into the annotations, and then from the annotations results, it then checked for poor and rich and things like that. So whether that particular annotations have this particular data, and it would have resulted in 0 rows. And then it has looked into the entire usage, and it would have pinpointed the movie search engine related tables. And from there, it has identified that we are using vector embeddings, and then it was able to see a particular table where the movie's text and the plot are present, and then another table where the vector embeddings of that particular movie is present. And it was able to deduce in a perfect way that it needs to use a vector similarity search to find the movie. And then it has explored the tables which are present, and it was able to identify the 4 tables which were used along with the description. So you can see it here. And once it has identified the table which are involved, it looked for a plot which is matching this. And since there's the vector embedding search setup, so it knows that it has to use the vector distance to find the particular part. And then it first took a look at the movies that are already present, and since my count is very less, so it was able to see clearly from the data that the value Titanic is present, and it was able to deduce that this is the relevant table. So basically it didn't even do that vector search, rather it was able to find it directly. But here you'd be able to see that it also had this particular approach in its mind, where it tried to use the vector search as the system is designed for it, to semantically search from that particular table. But still, since it is convinced that it has found the answer, it has just showed it in this particular manner. But considering a particular system where there are thousands of data, it would have gone through this particular approach, where it would have gone through this vector distance measurement, and then it would have identified the relevant movie out of it. So here I have just provided a simple annotation of what are all the embeddings that are used, and then what are all the tables that are involved in this particular movie search engine and things like that. So just with that, it is able to reduce all these things in a much simpler way, and it was able to arrive directly at the solution, or at least it went with the approach which is intended. And without annotations, I tried it earlier and it failed abruptly. So it looked into all the tables which was present in my schema one by one. He tried to search with the name matching, and then nothing matched my name because the naming was given bad intentionally. And then it had to go through all, or it had to look into all the tables, and then it had to look into the data of all the tables, which has exhausted my token usage. So this with this particular annotation, now we were able to arrive at the solution in a much easier and simpler and in the intended way. So with this, instead of AI guessing our schema, we are guiding it. Instead of wasting tokens, we are reducing the ambiguity, and instead of wrong analytics, we are enabling accurate intelligence where it has to look into. This is how we make our database AI ready. So if you are working with database and AI, this is something that you should start using today, because going forward, data without meaning is just noise. Thank you so much for watching. So if you haven't set this SQL Developers extension for VS Code yet, I strongly suggest you to do it. I have posted videos with which you'll be able to set this up in a much simpler way and in a short span of time. I suggest you to watch it, set it up, and then benefit from it. Thank you so much.
If this video helped you learn something new or find what you are looking for, please give it a like. It really helps the channel. I'd also love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to drop a comment below. And if you are interested in more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.